Masters, and I'm not confident I'm good enough to get there yet.
Sure.
So yeah.
Okay. Why Masters particularly? Is it just like the quote unquote good rank? So it's kind of like a nice goal to have, or what?
Yeah, it's the good rank without having to put in quite the same effort as like sort of a GM player might have
Yeah.
to.
Yeah. Makes sense. Okay, sounds good. Yeah, and I definitely think like disproportionate like amount, like as you get higher and higher and higher, obviously I wouldn't say it's necessarily exponential, but the amount of effort does increase dramatically. So it definitely is achievable. And if I look at your playtime here, Masters is reasonable, right?
Cool.
It's reasonable. It's something to kind of aim for. So okay, how long have you been playing Overwatch?
So started early Overwatch 2, maybe season 2-ish.
Okay.
Taking a couple of breaks over that time.
Yep.
Last kind of year has been pretty consistent though.
Okay, sounds good. What got you to start the game, and what got you to stick with it recently, more deliberately?
Well, I used to play Warzone, and Overwatch 2
Yep.
launched when Warzone 2 came out, which I wasn't a big fan of.
Okay.
And I don't know, just felt comfortable on Overwatch,
Sure.
and so stuck with it.
Sure. Okay, sounds good. And Baptiste, Anna, Moira, looking for coaching for BAP, it says, potentially?
Yeah, so BAP's definitely my main. I sort of almost one trick, not quite really.
Okay.
Basically, I feel most confident on BAP. I will occasionally switch Anna and rarely Moira,
Okay.
but can feel quite reluctant to swap.
Sure.
Because I don't feel quite as competent on those heroes.
Yep. Okay. Fair enough. And BAP, I guess, Warzone, gun, it makes sense, I suppose.
Exactly, yeah.
But I guess there's a lot of ways to interpret the traditional hit scan model. Why BAP?
Well, at the time, Overwatch 2 support was the shortest queue. And
enough.
so it would have been Anna or BAP, and BAP best suited my sort of aiming style, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. Looking for analysis of what I'm doing well. If this has changed, obviously, since you filled it before, let me know. But analysis of what I'm doing well, what I can build upon, mistakes I'm making that may not be aware of, and gaining a better awareness of practices in the role and on the hero. Would you say it's still the case?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. 2 to 4 hours per day, around 5 days per week. Is that still the case for practice?
Pretty much. Yeah, maybe slightly less now.
Sure.
2 to 3, maybe.
Okay. Sounds good. And then a lot of that is, as you said, basically one-tricking BAP.
For the most part, yeah. I play a fair bit of Anna, but it is mostly quick play again because I'm not quite don't feel as competent.
Sure. And then in terms of how much of that is quick play versus ranked and solo queue and so on, what does that look like?
So maybe 70-30, 70% comp, 30% quick play.
Okay, sounds good. And is that all solo queue? And do you warm up?
So it's duo queue. I play with my girlfriend, who is a Mercy main. She was GM1 console, so I might be getting carried a bit.
Sure.
And I do a warm-up, so I do 5 minutes of Vaxter, 5 minutes training, sort of weaving on that. There's a code I use for that.
Perfect.
And then maybe a quick play game or two.
Okay, and that functions well for you?
It does, yeah.
Okay, excellent. At the time of the form, you were Plat 2. Where are you now?
Plat 1. I had climbed to Diamond 4, but then had a pretty rough loss streak after that. So I ended up back in Plat 2, now Plat 1.
Okay, sounds good. Goals, master support, we talked about that already. Short term, we'd like to be stable in Diamond. Maybe Master's Tank eventually, not really a focus right now. I play a lot of Baptiste, not quite an OTP, but I feel far more competent in Baptiste than my main support alternatives in Ana and Moira, so I can be reluctant to make swaps, and I feel the swap in a vacuum would be ideal. So 100%, like there's going to be some situations where BAP is just frankly not ideal. Maps where there's a lot of excessive amounts of distance between yourself and your tank or your DPS. Maps where BAP is one of the, I think, rare supports where there's a situation where you may want to swap based off of your team composition, right? I think obviously when being like dive tanks and so on. But I think the crucial thing is that like when you're put in those suboptimal situations, are you confident in knowing how you can get value? And I think that like that's going to be something we're going to be looking at under the microscope today, is because I find that most people struggle not necessarily with the counter swap game, but the counter play game. Like when I'm with a Winston, I just know that I'm not going to be able to help him all that much, right? That's just the case. So am I really cranking out my offensive output, right? Am I really doing as much damage as I possibly can on their tank, on their backline? am I really utilizing the weave when it's convenient and available, and when it's not, am I compensating by forcing my cooldown value elsewhere, right? And if the answer is yes, then you're cooking. If not, then that's kind of the problem, because Bap is not the most flexible character of all time, but he does have dynamics in how he can be played, and you must leverage those if you want to perform. Otherwise, if you're just going to be a worse Ana.
Yep. Sure.
Okay. Mental can be an issue. I feel like I'm improving this area. I'm confident I'm better than Platinum, but not as confident that I'm better than Diamond, so I feel like getting out of Platinum would take the edge off of my frustrations. I can get too caught up in how stupid I think the design of characters and how that should be able to do that. And that ability is so brain dead easy for the Valley gets the Warzone background makes sense. Instead of adjusting to compensate for the situation I'm in. I mean, it makes sense, right? Like, I can kind of relate. Like, that's kind of my spiel, especially the last 2 years, is design tier lists and talking about game theory and stuff like that. So I kind of go in with like, all support players are boosted, which is just objectively true. And I can talk about how, like, Bastion's a dumb character, or Roadhog's a dumb character. And, I mean, I get it, but ultimately it ranks rank, so you're going to get better or you're not. And so, I think the key thing is that, like, whenever I feel my head filling with those things, there's really two things to blame. One, I'm not practicing the right way. Like, I'm not going in I'm not taking breaks. I'm not sleeping well. I'm not, giving it my full intensity. And the other one, which is even true for me, especially with Freya recently, was I didn't really know what I was practicing. So my brain filled up with a lot of unpleasant things because there was nothing constructive to think about at that moment. Sure. And so it's a problem, right? So, like, when there isn't a goal, I mean, it's actually kind of an analogy for like how society often works. When we don't have an end goal, we tend to squabble and fight, right? We get, we kind of internally blow up, right? Because there's no direction, there's no goal, and so we have to do something with that energy. And so for you, it's like, do you know what you're working on with BAP? Do you see your shortcomings? Do you see where you're strategically lacking? And maybe not. Maybe that's why you're here, right? Yeah. But I guess that's my focus, is that when you feel that, look at how you're practicing. Are you going in with the best mental state? And then also, do I actually have a purpose for this game? What am I trying to accomplish and practice this game besides winning it? I can struggle with focusing on multiple information inputs at a time. I'll sometimes miss sound cues, or my reaction can be delayed. I do not notice changes in the kill feed. Would you still say that's the case?
Definitely the kill feed. I think I'm getting better at sort of getting some more bandwidth as to being able to focus on more things happening at the same time. Kill feed stuff, like I even have the sound cue turned on. A lot of the time I don't notice it.
Sure.
So that's a bit of an issue that I'm trying to work on.
Okay. Sounds good. To be honest with you, assuming that there's nothing physiologically wrong with you, which may or may not be the case, I don't know. Multi-informational input is just a normal struggle for human beings, right? So it's like we can really only put our attention on one thing at a time. And so for you, it's probably more along the lines that you need to autopilot more processes, and a lot of it just comes with time. You can accelerate that process by deliberately practicing those ingredients. So whether it's focusing on sound cues, like very recently, I was realizing I was really struggling with Freya duels. And I decided to set a goal for a few days for a lot of games where I would only focus on knowing where the enemy is. I want to know where every single one of the enemies are. Not mechanics, not aim, not positioning, not cooldown usage, not cover usage. No, just where are they? And trust myself to make a decision accordingly. And I actually got really good, much better anyway, at positioning accordingly and hitting shots, because I found myself, whether it was sound or visual cues, just less surprised often. So I didn't die as much, and I was able to get picks more often. So for you, it's like I was kind of focusing on that one ingredient of my visual and audio awareness. Not kill feed, not cooldown, not mechanics, just visual and audio awareness, right? And so for you, it's like, again, you got to isolate those ingredients that you're weak at and train them per game, however you like, until they become a little bit more natural, and you find yourself doing things that you don't feel like should be physically possible. It's because you're juggling so many balls at the same time because you've practiced each one individually.
Yeah.
So
yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. I play BAP quite aggressively and where possible, but sometimes I find myself out of position. Okay. That's a good point to stand on. To be honest with you, that's a lot easier to work with if you have the idea of, like, I tend to be a little bit more aggressive than I should. It's a lot easier to tune that. I wouldn't even say turn that down, more about educate where to be aggressive and how to be aggressive, than you being overly passive and you telling you, hey, you need to actually take some proactive action here. So
Yeah, and some of it comes from just drifting. Like, when you're focused on so many things at a time, especially with BAP,
yes,
which does feel like it's quite high actions per minute. There's a
hmm
lot of things you're kind of doing. You
there
can
is.
just kind of drift and then end up in a
Yes.
bad spot.
Yes, the informational input thing goes in exactly because you talk about your cooldowns, you talk about weaving the weapon play and the positioning. You have a lot of things to juggle, and so you're naturally going to be flooded a little bit more. To kind of go into your the analogy deeper here, in the form you talk about your Mercy OTP girlfriend, information cues instantly. Mercy by nature is a character that demands you to recognize informational cues instantly because that's where a large portion of your value comes from. Because your kit is so pared down and basic, you have basically full freedom and responsibility to make zero mistakes in terms of awareness, right? So that's why she's so good at it. It's because she has more brainwaves and more practice focused on that skill. You don't, right? Now, the good news is that if you can get to her level and you can keep the mechanics, your value outputs can be way higher than a Mercy player, right? Just based off of the ceiling of what a Mercy can do, right? She can only do so much. BAP has more of a ceiling in that regard. So, I will say this just about the duo queue thing. We won't delve too deeply into it, but I've worked with a lot of duos. I do recommend that you guys solo queue at least 25-30% of the time apart from each other. And the reason is not because that you can't practice with a duo necessarily. It's just the fact that you could be boosting her or she could be boosting you.
Yeah. We've definitely talked about that. I think a lot of the appeal to continuing the duo queue, for me anyway, is eliminating another factor of, you might get another DC or an AFK or something like that.
Yes, I understand that.
Person,
I understand that. Yeah.
I totally get that.
It's just that, like, I mean, she could be significantly lower ranked than you and still boosting you because let's say that she's overperforming for her rank slightly, but she's still going to climb at the same measured rank as long as she's always duo queued with you. I've seen that before. I've actually had gold players queued with a diamond player, and the gold player was playing more like a platinum, but she was basically deadlifting the diamond player who was not playing like a diamond player, right? And I think that's definitely been the case. So just basically the solo queue is what allows you to calibrate occasionally accurately more of what your actually rank is. And then that makes sure that the duo queue is an actual representation of what you guys are actually doing. So, I don't think anything else in the forum. Do you have any other questions for me?
No, I think that's it, really.
Okay, let's take a look here.
Okay. I just send you the code.
Sure. So BAP's a bit interesting perk-wise. I mean, we can talk about it really quick because I think his perk choices were pretty simple up until recently, and then now there's a bit more complexity with it. Just looking really quick here, like obviously the immortality field one was fairly nice, basically burst heal, like that kind of goes without saying that was useful. But then I believe they also recently buffed the automated healing one for your your amplification matrix.
I tend to go with the lamp and the movement one and the boots one. I just feel that there's way more consistent value out of both of those.
Yes. What I would do, though, is I would definitely experiment with the other two when and where you can. So maybe where repositioning isn't as important, maybe where you are going to get more guaranteed value out of, I mean, honestly, for the same reason, BAP window, because of the sightlines that you have feels really safe. Maybe it's a compositional thing. You're not getting dove, so you don't need it as much. My point being is that, like, I think you're right. I do think that those are probably the two best to play with, even post buff, but I don't know that for sure, and I would probably experiment at least a little bit with it.
Yeah.
Because it is 360 healing, right? With the, that's not terrible, right? And then we talk about, you still have the heal with shift. It's just not quite as potent. So, okay. What is Baptiste unique at compared to other supports? This is crucial.
Damage at the same time as healing.
Correct.
Both at the same time.
It's your weapon. It's your weapon. Now, it's not just your weapon, and this is where I think a lot of BAP players struggle, is it is your survivability. So I don't think that you are as tanky as many other supports in terms of your proximity, but you can take some attention. You can tank some damage. That's especially crucial. I mean, this is probably not the best map to demonstrate it because it is more traditional poke, shoot, sniper. But if you were playing with a Winston, you're not going to lamp your Winston, and you're not going to regenerative burst your Winston. And when you're playing with a tracer and so on, you can kind of get where I'm going with this. What you need to do is you need to force value out of your lamp and regenerative burst with how you're positioned. You need to be I am going to take damage. Not by standing in the open, not by playing lack of cover, but by egoing. Right?
Yeah.
You have 2 lives. Like, let's not exaggerate. It's not 3. People say that sometimes. It's not. It's like 2, right? With a DPS passive. So use that. It's the same thing I do with, like, I look at the enemy Life Weaver. I'd be coaching them in the same thing, right? You know, if you're not being actively dove, then you need to find a way to force value out of your kit by egoing a little bit. Otherwise, you're just going to be a worse Zenyatta, worse Ana, fill in the blank, right? So it's important to think about it this way. It may not come up here because I'm sure you'll get a lot of value out of your weapon, and also with the tank and the DPS that you're running. There's definitely value with Regenerative Burst and Lamp here, right? But if that's not the case, you have to find ways to do those things with the angles that you're taking. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Now, I assume you picked this map because it's a good bat map. Looks like a long game. Are there any other reasons why you chose this particular code?
Well, I haven't had loads of time to get a code because
That's
I
fine.
had to take a break over the past short little time. So this was
course.
yesterday.
Okay.
It's a
That's
game
perfect.
with me and my girlfriend, which is going to be the most common way
Okay.
I'll be playing.
Sounds good.
And it is a fairly close game as well.
Okay, sounds good. So we're looking at weaving, we're looking at cooldown usage, we're looking at positioning, we're looking at offensive pressure, we're looking at a little bit of target priority because with BAP it's unique where weaving is easier on tank trades, but you don't want to lock into a tank trade just for the sake of weaving when there's more offensive pressure to be found with your gun elsewhere or defensive pressure to be healed elsewhere. So weaving is basically impossible in anything that isn't the tank trade most of the time. So it makes tank trading really good with BAP, but you don't always want to tank trade.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'll see BAP players that are so obsessed with weaving that they actually do so at the expense of shooting when it's important.
Yeah.
Like case in point, right? Like why were you not weaving your Bastion in there? Because you need to kill the freaking Malga, right? Like he's 1 HP. Like to flick your crosshair over to Bastion and then back to Malga's head is probably unreasonable. So don't bother about it. Focus on the kill when you need to kill. Probably didn't need your regenerative burst there, and that's going to be a theme here, right? Where you have just killed Malga. You probably didn't need your burst here. It's not terrible that you did it, but this could be a situation where you're able to walk forward, take more aggressive space, and then force your regenerative burst. Now, you could also look at it as I use my regenerative burst so that I didn't have to stop doing what I was doing. I could keep pressuring. That's also fair. So the question with regenerative burst is using it. It's not a question of did it save my life. It's a question of does using regenerative burst mean that I can continue to do more damage and more healing without stopping?
Right.
In that case, maybe it's actually an okay. It's tricky. I don't like your angle here. So the Hanzo is awkward because he's kind of dominating these longer sight lines. This is the same problem that Ana has, where you are a ranged character that hates snipers. Because they're just you, but better. So what you have to do is you have to consider what angle can I take that is at least uncomfortable for the sniper, but opens up an angle for me. So you tell me. It's not easy here, but there is a solution that's at least slightly better.
Maybe to the left.
Okay. So like here?
Yeah.
Okay. Hanzo logs you, you're dead. You kind of see what I'm saying? Like, this is still a long angle.
Yeah.
So keep solving it. Like, at the very least, can you make the sniper look the opposite direction? Can you open an angle?
I guess if you go far, like near where the bridge is.
Yeah. Okay. Put yourself here.
Yep.
Spam your boots here, right? Is there anything to shoot right now? No. Will there be? Maybe. I mean, with the power of hindsight, Moira's here, but we didn't know that. But we don't need to know that. If we're playing Overwatch, people will want to take angles. They will want to try to utilize this site. And you will shoot them. Because this is a space that you can play versus. Like, you can even contest a Hanzo here. This is a decent range for you. Now, the key thing is what if they don't? What if they don't utilize this angle? Well, you're going to take the angle and you're going to shoot the Malga. The exact same thing as you did. But crucially here, you're not being sniped in that process. Do you notice that?
Yeah.
So by opening this angle, it's not just about, the better sightline that you get. Kind of, sort of, not really. It's more about the fact that you can actually relax and focus on damage output because you're not getting sniped.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
So you actually increases your damage output to swing in this angle because you're not panicking. You're able to just focus on shooting, and that's all you need to worry about. And you see how much worse and how much more stressful this is than just here. Like even here, for the Hanzo to swing wide on you means that he opens himself up to pressure. Like where actually you could actually be comfortable shooting him now, right? So I want to see. I like what you're doing with your weapon play. I like your mechanics. I don't hate your regenerative bursts. They have felt occasionally relatively justified. But I don't like your positioning. It's too linear. You're not opening up your angle enough. So your sightlines are compressed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
And this is not just, because they're on Hanzo. It doesn't matter if they're on Hanzo or not. If they weren't on Hanzo, they still want an open angle. In fact, it even becomes easier, right? You can just totally relax. Like, you're not even in a position to weave right now. You see this? What forced lamp here? Do you see it?
As the Sojourn, was it?
There's a Sojourn, right? Where did the Sojourn come from?
Top.
This is your
right.
job.
Yeah.
This is your job. Either to kill Hanzo, to weave this better so this guy's shoved out so the Sigma can deal with this, or, we're talking about butterfly effect here. You could have affected this tank trade earlier, you could have forced out and killed the Hanzo, or you could have marked the Sojourn yourself. And all of those things you would have been equipped to do so.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I would have blown my lamp to get the Sojourn out on myself. Because you know what? It's easier to lamp myself than it is to lamp somebody else, right?
Yeah.
The end result's the same. End result's the same. It's a good lamp. Like, it's a good quick reaction. It's accurate. It's mechanically impressive. It's like it's a incredible catch of a routine fly ball. You made things so incredibly hard for yourself when it didn't need to be. And even here, right? So like, this is really stressful right now. So we're just gonna tank trade. We're gonna tank trade. This is nice. Pop the window. There you go. Now this is where your brain has to think 4D here. You gotta think outside the box. So you shot.
Shooting the Sojourn, probably.
That's it, right? Exactly. You shot the force block. I get it. Easy kills, easy damage. He is not blocked. You've done your job. Pivot to Sojourn. Don't weave. Don't heal. Kill. Sometimes I think BAP window really amplifies, no pun intended, your decision-making process. Where weaving can be very powerful, but oftentimes it's better to just heal or just damage depending on the situation. This is a just damage situation right here. And yes, absolutely. You should absolutely ego that Sojourn. She can one-shot you, essentially. You can one-shot her, essentially. Who's better? That being said, I applaud you on your decisiveness with the BAP window. I think it's really, really important that you do that. So, well done. I mean, that's BAP right there, right? Like, it wasn't pretty. He kind of caught you off guard, but you survived. And then you killed him. That's BAP. Mechanically, it's definitely a strong point for you. So far, I mean, it's not a huge surprise to me, but in terms of your weaving, your aim, even how you're moving, looks comfortable. Angles, big problem so far.
Yeah.
Just little adjustments so you're able to utilize that effectiveness, and also just for your own safety, essentially.
The positioning has always been the weak point, honestly.
Yes, yes. Like even here, right? Like this is really not where I want to be peeking Hanzo Sojourn. Yeah. I'm going to make them open their angle deeper, or I'm going to even position further along the line here. Your choice. But open an angle. Open an angle. And does not a flank, just a slight off to the side. And I wonder if the weaving is baiting you into aligning yourself in a corridor versus a tank.
Maybe, yeah.
I'm not so sure. It's not that weaving is bad. It's a very powerful tool, but it is of secondary importance to your vision, sightline, and safety, right? So like it is easier to weave here, but this compromises your weaving. And obviously at this point, being here would be hubris, right? It's too late now. You've given up the space, but I wonder, something to consider. Like even here, like this just feels terrible, right? Like I don't know if I'm asking you to swing here. I don't know if I want you to swing here. But for right now, as soon as you can... Oh my days, what was that? Oh yeah, I gotta see this. That's crazy. It's a nice little angle there, right? He got it.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And he's headshot immune unlike you are when he's on turret.
This ends now.
Sure. That's yes and no. Like it was a moment of I think they're behind cover. I think.
Yeah.
I think that you thought they were behind cover. But she had swung. She had jumped over the railing there, or over the fence.
I think if I recognized the vortex quick enough, I probably would
True.
have it.
That's true. That's true. That's true. If I can be honest here, I think you're trolling here. I think you need to make one of two decisions. What are those decisions?
I agree. I need to just go back or die.
Right.
Like, get out.
I think you either die, you fully run, or you fully flank.
Right, okay.
There needs to be a choice here. It's okay, well, you know what? I have lamp, so let's kill somebody, right? Or I'm running, or I'm just gonna run and die in cart. Your choice.
Yeah.
There's no half measures here. You're not gonna get out. So that's a not likely. Okay, you guys are recontesting. That hurts. Because even dying on the flank gives your team space and gives them an opportunity to touch if they'd like to.
Yeah.
Probably lamps yourself. Yeah. I honestly don't know if I think, if I can be frank, I think that you're Bastion and you should have died there, like completely, with where your team is in spawn.
Yeah. For some reason, I knew the soldier and the soldier were there. I just didn't really feel threatened by them for some reason, which is why I waited so long.
Yeah, I'm looking at this and I'm like, dude, there's no, like, even in plat 1, right? Like, they are going to kill you, like, about 90% of the time there. So you got a little fortunate. I will again applaud the decisiveness of the ultimate. I don't hate it. I guess maybe my only thing to think about here in terms of this would be like, again, it's like, just why the ram? Like, once he's out here, like, you have to shoot Sojourn here. You just have to. Like, there's just, like, she's 2 clips away, even at this range, right, from death. So, like, you do turn eventually, but there's a little bit of that, I find what's very appealing about Baptiste, which is that weaving and just the clicking and clicking, can be your downfall, because you'll go for the easiest output there, not necessarily the most effective output, which sounds the best. Screw Overwatch sound design. I've actually asked them to work more on that with blocking and armor sounds to make it less and they've actually done it. So armor is slightly less appealing sound-wise if you listen very carefully, but I don't think it's enough because dopes like you and me will continue to shoot it because it just feels good. So, but yeah, definitely think this is the right perk for this map. But this is, one of those situations where it's like, okay, I have these perks. What should I be doing with them? You tell me.
Suppose I could maybe take top there.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Just why not? Get a better angle on the ram. Or come back here, get a better angle to shoot down the soldier. Your choice here. Like, you have flexibility. Use the mobility here. It's limited mobility, but it is mobility. The game is balanced around, if you don't use the unique aspects of your kit, you will lose. And this is exactly what we're talking about. This Sojourn should not be putting as much pressure on you as you should be, or as she is, sorry, because you should either feel safe and comfortable here, or you should be murdering her here. Why? Yeah. Because you have lamp. She doesn't. So if she comes here, you're just better. You're just better. You don't lose this 1v1. So she's out, or she's dead. If she's out, then you focus on weaving here, and all the threats are on your screen. You can focus on your weaving.
I think I can be a bit stingy with lamp sometimes, just because it's such a long cooldown.
Yes.
I'm reluctant to use it so aggressively sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to lose, regardless of lamp or not here, right? Because you've lost space. So I agree with you. You don't want to go out of your way to waste lamp, but your positioning should be, I have mobility, I have 2 defensive cooldowns, I should position as such.
Sure.
You're the equivalent of like a gold Kiriko coming to me and being like, well, I don't want to waste my escape ability by taking an angle. And I say, well, you're not going to use your escape ability, you're going to die. Or you're going to TP to your tank in the front line. Oh, I don't want to waste Suzu on myself. Well, okay. So you're going to wait until your team is already dead and then Suzu them, right? This is your cooldowns have to be used to control space, because losing this space is what loses you the game.
Right.
All right. You've played enough shooters to understand this, right? So, like, this position from Sojourn is going to kill your Bastion. It's going to kill your soldier. And yes, I lamped them. Doesn't matter. She gets the kill anyway. Like, this is just a prolonged inevitability, right? Hazard, your Hazard's dead. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's not easy with this character. Like, I do think Baptiste's positioning is tricky, you know, because you can't go too flanky versus certain comps, because you are slower. What is going on? Yeah, this is one of those moments, right? This is one of those moments where, like, I think the multiple sensory input, right?
Yeah.
There's so much crap going on. You just need to kill the Life Weaver.
Yeah.
The window is fine. I like the vision with the window. You have some space here. This is winnable. Like, probably not winnable, but winnable. Maybe you misjudged the cart, to be frank, but that's okay. I don't hate it. Just kill him. Just kill him. You can't look away. Like, it's, you know, you're not 4 years old. When the monster's
away there,
yeah, when the monster's there, you can't close your eyes and disappear. You have to deal with the monster, right? So, and he is absolutely a monster. So, deal with him. You know, you got your mobility. Shoot, juke him, pull a freaking tracer dash on him. You know what I'm saying? Make him hurt. Like, you're gonna win those duels. We've seen it. Okay. Okay. Sure. So. Oh, this is stressful. So it feels bad because you don't really know where the fight's happening.
Yeah.
I would say make the best of the situation. Don't be scared of using your cooldown selfishly. Because even you just, for example, like, I know it's not comfortable and doesn't feel great, but the fact that, like, you had an opportunity to protect your Bastion there. You took the angle and didn't get punished for it because you have regenerative burst. That's okay. It's all right. It's value. It's not great. You're down one, but it's value. You find a sightline, it's value. And then now it's just weapon play. Now, this is another one of those moments. Do not shoot the mantra. Look at his HP.
Yeah.
It's not that it's bad now, it's bad in about half a second. Because as they walk forward, you need to be focusing on those threats instead.
Yeah.
And frankly here, where should you be taking space? This fight's probably lost, yep.
Probably be top somewhere.
Probably be top. It's safer here. Then you can decide if I want to heal pocket or I want to weave or I want to try and trade backline. Frankly here, this is probably a situation where you just hold top and heal, right? But get off the floor. Don't make yourself a part of the target as well. You have that dash for a reason. You have the, even if you didn't have the dash here, right? You have the boots. Use them. Take space. You have both abilities. You have your dash. Where should you be? Same question, right?
Top again, I think.
Take it. Zero fear. Take it right here. Challenge anything you want. You know, create that space for your team. Don't wait for things to go poorly. Like, look at your composition. A lamp here on Hazard, much more difficult than it is with the Sigma, right? Bastion, maybe not. But you have guaranteed value out of where you can go here. Do it. You're too weave pilled. You see this? You're too weave pilled. Not enough space. Get here. Let's actually just put your camera here and see what happens. I mean, Merry Christmas. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a shooting gallery. There you go. Yeah, I see you're scared. Don't be scared. Because remember, every resource that goes to you here, so, like, let's put you here again, okay? When you go here, so you force Lifeweaver out, so he's out of position. Moira turns her attention to you. Where are the threats of the enemy team that are focusing on your tank right now?
Just the Ram.
Just the Ram. You don't need to heal that. Just the Ram. You are pulling attention away from your team. This is the support dynamic right here, right? Where does it alleviate the most stress? You directly healing or you taking pressure? It depends on what the map gives you. If the map gives you positions like these, then you taking this space is better for your team. If the map doesn't give you those positions, then yeah, weaving and healing is better. But it depends on what the map gives you. This map is giving you this. You have both abilities and your lamp, your amplification matrix. You need to take space. You need to find cover. I don't know if I love this as opposed to this just because there's a little bit more convenient cover here. But this is what's helping your team. You second guess yourself, you lose the space, and you directly help the tank trade there, but you're now right back where we started again. You see what I'm saying? A little late with a lamp there. It was funny because I felt like the time you'd used it was probably not needed.
Yeah, I agree.
But it's a tricky ability. You just need more reps with it. Same thing with the space. Take the space, help your hazard. And by the way, this is also going to help you a great deal when you're playing with not, Sigma tanks. Because playing this with a Winston, playing this with hazard, they're going to be moving all over the map. If you're sitting here fishing for weaves, you're going to be really struggling playing with dive tanks.
Yeah.
Case in point, right? Like where the hazard is, where you are, where you need to be, and so on. Yeah, we're so weave filled, right? We want that lane to just turn your brain off and just weave and shoot them.
Yeah.
I like the decisiveness with the amplification matrix. I freaking hate the position though, in terms of what you could see. Good try of the lamp. Again, it's not a problem because we know exactly where the threats came from. We should have been there to deal with that. Do you have the capability of streaming Overwatch through Discord?
Yes.
Do you want to do a live coaching session here?
Yeah.
I'm becoming a bit of a broken record here, so I want to try something a little bit different. I want to focus on the space taking, using your mobility, using your defensive cooldowns. Just think, don't get sucked into weave. Where could I be? That's the only thing I want you thinking about.
Yeah.
Let's queue up. If you're warm enough, I know you might be a bit ice cold, but I don't really care.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, let's just try it. Any questions, by the way? I know we've kind of done like speed run it a little bit.
I guess again it's just the value of like you can use lamp aggressively sometimes and then not have it when you need it for something else, and then if you hadn't used it before, then you know you know what I'm saying, like, you know, it's sometimes a bit tricky with such a long cooldown as to
yeah, so there's opportunity costs, right? So you're thinking you don't want to go out of your way to waste lamp necessarily, but you also have to think, if I was able to get guaranteed value on myself and using lamp to force cooldowns and winning a duel, right? Then they used an ultimate to win the fight and I didn't have lamp. Could they have won the fight without using an ultimate because I failed to use my lamp for myself?
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? The reason why I'm so focused on the space taking process and in terms of your cooldowns and so on is not just because, oh, it's the way support's supposed to be played, but it's also just guaranteed value. Guaranteed. There's no second guessing. There's no very few late lamps or what if they... No, it's just guaranteed. It's guaranteed. It's guaranteed. If you use something to force something, then you know you're going to be able to control it. Like, versus how many lamps here have we used and it either wasn't necessary or it didn't do the job or it was too late, right? It's not an easy decision necessarily, but I think this is why instead of thinking about how to use your lamp, instead think about how do I position myself. Uh-oh, I need a lamp. That's fine.
Yeah.
Focus on the positioning first, and then the cooldown usage will be kind of thrust upon you, essentially. In terms of mechanical stuff, I didn't really have as much. Weaving was something that I think you're familiar with. I don't think we need to delve deeper into that. In fact, the only thing I would say is that don't go necessarily out of your way to find a weave angle at the expense of taking good space, right?
Yeah. I think you're probably right that I was just looking for opportunities to weave.
Yeah. The game gives you feedback through sound cues and damage cues, which is tricky because a lot of times the most satisfying way to play is not always the most strategically sound way to play, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And that's not unique to Baptiste necessarily. I think a lot of heroes have that problem. But that's just, you know, it's kind of like, you know, it's a Darwinian check, right? Are you going to be able to do what's strategically best, or are you going to do what feels good, right? And like you're going to be able to rank up and improve based off of that.
Yeah.
Did you happen to see what the queue time was? I know for support can be kind of hit or miss.
Yeah, I think it's about 5 minutes is what it said, whether or
That's
not
not
that's true or not.
That's not bad. We can live with that. By the way,
Sometimes
all these principles apply to Ana as well. She doesn't have the same level of mobility as Bap, but there's still that process of like finding a sightline, finding an angle. And actually, what she lacks for in mobility compared to Bab, she has significantly more cooldown and offensive impact. So, you know, you're not as safe taking an angle necessarily, but nade really hurts people. Like, badly hurts people. So you're actually rewarded for it. And then you can also use nade defensively, because nade is a phenomenal dueling tool. Versus many characters, it's actually better than Lamp, better than Regenerative Burst, because it's both the healing and damage and the purple too. So you can kind of take an angle, decide if you're going to get punished for that angle, nade defensively, or not get punished for the angle, and then just nade offensively. And I also find her damage output to be, I wouldn't say higher than BAP, but more broadly useful. Whereas BAP can feel
the range.
Yeah, it's the range, right? It's kind of like a little bit like Idiari, where it's like she's not exactly a damage machine. But you're gonna be able to hit, if you hit your shots, you'll win duels, right? And do so at all ranges. Any questions? I know we didn't have as much time to go into that.
Nothing top of my head at the moment. I'm sure something will come up.
Sure. Okay. Let's do about 20 more seconds, and let's pause, and let's just kind of keep skimming through the code. And then that way when the queue pops, we'll hop over.
Cool.
Cosmic Weapon looks good.
It does look good on BAP, yeah.
I'm glad that they went a different direction than Jade, no offense.
I hated Jade.
Jade was, I think, universally hated. Of all the colors to go for, it was a choice.
Yeah.
Silver, gold, iridescent, obsidian, onyx, diamond.
Yeah.
You know, cosmic.
There's no reason to get the Jade over the gold, personally.
Yeah, it just was, yeah. It was... I've seen some truly horrific skin combos of some characters with the Jade, too. It's, like, pretty bad.
Yeah.
All right, let's hop over here. Let me resume here. Can you see?
Yep.
Let's actually pivot to a different section of the map. Let's actually go to the attack here, and let's take a look from there. Okay. Yeah. You can kind of still see where your attention is here. Very tank pilled, right? So the reason it's a mistake here is because you do have choices that are other than Malga. When you're on defense, it was only Malga, so it was acceptable. Now it's not just Malga, and yet you're still focusing on Malga. This is where probably there needs to be some tickling. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Does she have rail? Does she not have rail? What's your HP like? You'll have to play that. But what's hurting your Rhine, what's hurting your Mercy Soldier on card, are these guys being uncontested when you have two defensive cooldowns, right? So that needs to be forced here. This guy won't need Lamp if these guys can be forced back just a little bit, or at least forced to look at you.
Yeah. I think it's the threat of the one-shot with Soldier, similar to
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but that's why there's a visual cue for that, right?
Yeah.
That's why they have the glow. And then there's also, okay, well, then I don't peek Sojourn. Is there anybody else I can peek at this point in time? But, like, you physically cannot keep your Soldier up if these guys are allowed to hold high ground. Your Rhine tried, but, like, it is not going to work. Just a question of space. And while card is moving, we've really made no progress at controlling that space. You can kind of see it here.
Yeah.
Your Rhine is actually doing some serious work by himself. It's actually crazy. That's actually crazy. I cannot believe this guy. This guy is sweating so hard. I actually respect it. Now, see, now we can weave till our heart's content, right? Because there's nothing else to do. But, you know, obviously, I do think that we kind of got carried there, tank-wise. I mean, even that, like, okay, it sucks to be railed, but, like, okay. Use it on me. Fine. I'll take it. I can absorb it, you know. My Soldier might not be able to do that. My Soldier might not be able to do that. My Mercy might not be able to deserve the rail, but I can, right? Yeah. Not that you should go out of your way to get railed, necessarily. Preferably just have her miss it, but you being able to absorb attention is useful.
That's got a game.
Oh, you got a game? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's do whatever you want with bans. I don't really care. It's your call here.
We're sharing, yeah. Oh, we Hollywood.
You're going to want to ban a DPS to help protect your Sombra. So I would actually mimic your Freya ban and maybe throw in one of the DPS.
Yeah.
Unless she's saying that she wants to play Freya? What is she saying?
Sombra.
Okay, yeah.
Let's go with that.
Yeah, there you go. Nice. So I'm not sure if you know, but there's a max 2 per role. So if you have somebody that really wants to play a hero of a role, if you want to protect them, try to ban other heroes in that role aggressively, because it significantly reduces the chance that they get banned. So
it's like a cast for like a Sombra or something like that.
Yeah. Or really anybody, just random, just as long as because you're going to protect it. So
right, okay.
So you can already start to think here, not where do I normally hold? You'll probably hold in the back and weave and okay. So, but I want you to think what sightlines angles are available to me because I have defensive cooldowns where I can put pressure. So what about my positioning? And am I over-focusing on weaving?
Right, okay.
Where can I be over-focusing on weaving? There is going to be a lot of mistakes, and you're not going to be able to implement this well. I'm going to go and tell you right now. Maybe you will. I'm not expecting anything, to be honest. What I'm asking is to put you in the right mindset for how you should practice for all of your games moving forward. Where should you be? What should you be shooting? Don't worry about your cooldowns. Don't worry about your cover. Don't worry about your ultimates. Where should you be? What are your cooldowns? What should you be shooting? And all I'm going to do is cue you. I'm not going to tell you what to do necessarily. I'm just going to cue you. Focus on what you can do. So Widow, that means sightlines that are longer are discouraged. So where you're at right now is not going to work for very long. So you need to find another sightline. Doesn't even necessarily mean walking forward. Just find an angle, let them walk into it. Okay. Sure. Weave. And find your next angle. Because this is not... You cannot be here. Because Widow's going to completely contest this. You need to find a new angle. Sure. This is fine. Oh, this is cheeky. Where's your next angle? It's awkward. You're kind of compressed here. So maybe we just weave. But if you see an opportunity to do something different, go for it. Careful about peeking that. Nice. Alright, let's walk. You have CDs. Be careful, but you have CDs. Yes. Oh, you got scammed. That sucks. That's unfortunate. Well done. I'm not gonna lie with you. The hard flank on right side, pretty risky. But yeah, you could see because you had your shift, it almost worked. Like you almost got a trade out of it. And you notice that your Rhine didn't die there. Why? Because you pulled both supports' attention. So their Ram was unsupported. This is still winnable here. Where's your angle here?
Trans.
It's okay. That's okay. Still kill people outside of it. That's okay. That's okay. You had the right idea. So I'm gonna be honest with you. Retaking that same lane, that's a big error. You need to go out the other retake from left side. You know what I'm talking about? And peek that with your BAP window.
Okay.
That's one of the. So you can't flank with BAP as easily because he's just slow. So you need to take every angle that you can that doesn't involve walking a long time. It's not easy, but you're doing a pretty good job of it so far. Okay, so right now, where's this fight going to go? What are your abilities like? Where can you go? Yeah, this is silly of her. She should get rolled. Way too close for her to be effective. Where's your next lane? So Widow's down now. She will come back, so you'll need a lane that doesn't contest Widow wide open. Get her. Win the duel. That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. Big thing there was just how you play the duel, right?
Yeah.
Probably needed to walk out. The lamp was a little bit unfortunate. Maybe land on Mega as well. All the little things. But that is a duel that you were supposed to win. Just like you're supposed to kill the Widow in the previous fight, and you did. Good lamp. What about your positioning? He's probably freaking dead. Oh, well, maybe we weave this. Who are you shooting? It's okay. That's an unfortunate vortex. Good stuff.
Yeah.
That was where weaving was probably pretty good. You feel it, right? Like that was like, a lot of weave value. Totally fine. I don't need to go crazy. So you're gonna lose this. Don't even try to recontest. Focus on rotating out. And think about your next sight lane. Are they still on Widow here?
No, hands up.
Okay, so be careful of Hanzo here in this rotation. Where is your team fighting? So keep backing. Alright. Where's your lane? Where's your angle?
Vortex.
You got to be careful of Hanzo here. So, okay, so Hanzo's dead, so you can pick any long angle you want. Yeah, I like this a lot. You don't necessarily need to walk forward here. This is probably too close. But holding this here is probably okay. Sure. So this is going to be challenging. You can't get too close to Ram, but you can't peek an open sight lane versus Widow. Right?
Yeah.
So what's going to be the solution here? Everything right now is revolving on you finding that solution with where your team is fighting. It's not easy. Too close to Ram. Sure. You have perfect scouting now, so. Where's Widow? It's fine. Ram's gonna push you. Good. Weave. Kara Widow now. Where's your next angle? Yes. Much better. Dash if you need to. Where's Widow? Compress your angle. This is too open. Yes. Very good. You have your shift. You can use it. Beautiful. Look at that. Where's Widow? Where's Widow? Where's Widow? What? What was that?
That was weird. I have no idea.
I think that's your friendly event of mine, but that's super odd. Okay. So now they're really making you sweat because there's a Tracer who can get you up close, and a Ram, and a Widow. So what's the solution here? Focus only on your positioning right now. No informational overload, just positioning. Where should you be? Where should you be? Where should you be? Where should you be? Good range management there. That was really well done. Just far enough away from the Ram. Press tab. What DPS are they on now? Okay, Hanzo Tracer still. Where's your lane goal? Where's your lane? Good. Honestly, you probably could just stay here. It's okay. Let's get a trade. was close. That was like really close. If you're a little faster on that rotation, as Zenyatta dies, Tracer dies, 100%.
Yeah.
It's a good try. There's a chance of a recontest, but because you guys did get 2, but I'm not sure. No, okay. Do you feel the impact?
Yeah. It's
Okay.
just getting the reps.
Yeah. It's not easy. Like, this is where that informational overload is going to kick into like 3rd gear, and so you just have to allow yourself to screw up mechanically, to screw up with your cooldowns, to screw up.
Yeah.
Just focus on the rotations. You did not do a perfect job of that, but you did a significantly better job than you did in the Junkerton VOD.
Right.
Despite the chaos, you did a really good job. Despite the Widowmaker Ramatra combo, which is not easy to position around, right? Because you don't want to get too close, but you can't pick the long sight lane either because she'll snipe your head off, right? You found a really good balance there, and you did a really good job. You contested Widow when she was close or when she didn't know where you were. You kind of surprised her. And you were able to keep like that 15, 20 meter range on Ramatra a lot of the time, so that if he did want to kill you, he really had to commit everything to get to you, right?
Yeah.
And you felt the impact. That was good stuff.
Mechanics suffering a little bit, I think, just from being watched, but
Well, you're doing a good job. Like that's the nature. Is like there's a lot of pressure on you because your live coaching is stressful, right? But I think what makes it successful is it means that you are so fully dialed into what you're doing that it doesn't get any worse than this. Right? Right. That's kind of the way to look at it. So, okay, they're probably going to be on Widow or Hanzo again here. And they're probably going to be on Ramatra again. So you need to think, not what I normally roll out, but what can I do to find a sight line or an angle without getting my head blown off, but also without AFK. Make no assumptions. Listen, and then react. Press tab in about 2 seconds here and find out what they have for sure. Okay, Bash and Pharah, that really simplifies things for you, right?
Yeah.
Proximity is death, but you can basically take any sightline that you want. So that's a little close. I like the play here. But you don't have to get close to shoot these targets. You just need a sightline. Like this right here on both the Pharah and Mercy and Bastion is fine. I know I'm yapping in your ear, but consider that for next fight. All right.
Yeah.
So I like the creativity in that flank, but that's a flank that I see more when I'm on Widow, or they're on Widow, right? When they're on Pharah Bastion, there's no reason for you to take the risk. Just shoot them in the face. Does that make sense? Do you understand the dynamic here, right? It's basically playing your effective range versus what heroes that you're playing. You get close to Widow, you keep your distance on Ram. You get close to Zenyatta or whatever. I guess Zenyatta's kind of tricky, but you keep your distance on Tracer.
I think it's just another thing I need to focus on then, rather than anything else, like the hero comp.
Yes.
Because it's generally, it's not something I pay massive attention to.
Yes.
Like I do think about it, but it's not something I've focused on.
Yes. So we can do it right now. Like, where are they? Where should I position? That's all we're really thinking about right now.
Yeah.
It's okay. You guys got cap. Like, I look at your mechanics and I say, with all due respect, there's just no way that you should ever be touching platinum, right? So, it's strictly due to the angles that you're taking in the pursuit of the weave.
Yeah.
Which has been significantly better just in this little stressful game that we have here. Press tab. I'm going to see if they swap Bastion Pharah. Just keep an eye on that. Because Widow swap would be painful here. Okay, so again, like basically any sightline that you want here is almost uncontested. Don't be afraid to use your cooldowns here if she pushes you. You contesting the space is basically removing 2 resources and keeping your team alive. Don't even hesitate to use your ult if you see an opportunity. There it is. Threat dealt with. Next step. You have both cooldowns? Let's go.
Yeah.
Guard your life. Play your distance. Think about your next angle. Where are they? Where do you need to be? There's the Widow swap. Where do you need to be? Yes. You can ego Widow here. It's no problem. Just get a big jump. Let's go. Almost. This time for sure. Aw. Easy. Lamp yourself, peek the Widow. Shift and jump. You're good. You still got her. That's fine. You see, even as horrendous as that went, the impact that you had, right? Like, it's just so annoying, right? And the Ram can't even touch you, and it's not necessarily ego to peek a Widow like that. You had some advantages. You just misplayed them. That's all. Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, where are they? Where should you be? Ooh, Widow's close. Okay, now this might be tricky. Okay, so Widow's down.
Yeah.
Where should you be? Any along the sideline now works. Good stuff. Next step. Where are they? Where should you be? Yep. Okay. Press tab. She's coming back as Widow. Take an angle. Yeah. Now you're vulnerable to a wide left swing, so I'm going to be quiet and I want you to listen.
Okay.
And we're good. Okay. You know where she is now? You know where Ram is? This angle's tricky. You got to think, where do I go from here? Because this is scary. Yeah. Yep. Now you can just shoot tank if you want. Because you can LOS the Widow and just shoot tank. Questionable.
Adult.
Okay. Press tab for me. Keep an eye on that. And then decide on what you see to decide on what angle you take here. You have both cooldowns and an ultimate. I want you to take some space. It's okay. I like the vision. Don't quit. All right, be a solution here. Take some space. Left side, top side, your choice. Do it quickly. Don't hesitate. Don't hesitate, don't hesitate, don't hesitate. Go. Lamp yourself if you need to. You were a solution, not a spectator. You see it? And nothing about that was ego. You had both cooldowns. You waited for your team to start the fight so they were distracted. Then you peeked it late. You got everything. You got both DPS, Lamp, Ram Shield, and Vortex, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you weren't. You didn't even get a kill immediately, right? Like, it was your team, because nobody's looking at your team anymore.
Attracted it. Yeah.
Yep. Good stuff.
I think that's because like everyone was crit down there. There's no way I would have done that without the prompting. In that situation, would you still like suggest doing that?
So the reason why I said go, so there's two reasons why. One is because I needed you to commit to a play and not second guess yourself. For example, they were crit, but they were crit because you took too long to set it up. You screwed it up and then kind of second guess yourself. I'm like, no, go. You didn't have to take that. You could have gone left side as well, and for the more passive angle, that would have worked too. But you just needed to go and commit and stop second guessing yourself. The second reason why, and this is the more important reason why I told you to go, is because they were behind a wall. You have to trust when teammates are critical and they're behind a wall that they're going to stay behind the wall, and that your other support will handle it. You can't. It's the same thing when you lamp somebody who's not even engaged. It's a waste, right? You have to trust that they're not stupid and that they will wait and heal it back up again.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, good question. Same thing here. They're on Widow, Tracer, Ramatra, Sombra, Reaper, Bastion. They're on all of them until proven otherwise. Where are they? What are they on? Where should you be?
Junkrat.
Yeah, and we got to be smart now. Battlefield's changed. Press tab. Symmetric Junkrat. Long sightlines are juicy here. There it is. Look for a longer sightline, and you can even weave here if you'd like to. Or yeah, hey, I mean, this works too. I mean, Yeah, a little bit of feedback there. The your shifts are really late sometimes. So I know you're trying to like combo with the burst heal from the lamp expiring, but just be very careful about that. Just because like you almost died before the shift went off, but yeah.
Yeah.
Press tab
because I'm trying to time it to get the.
Yeah. I mean, look at the damage here. Like you this is. I mean, we don't even need to look at stats. You know your impact here. Like you know the impact not just from the stats alone, but also from the space that you created as well. Beautiful. Love it. Give me
Nice.
1 second here, really fast. Okay, what needs to be practiced? I'm not going to type this up in your channel, but I encourage you to take note of it yourself. What needs to be practiced?
So positioning, being a bit more, taking angles a little bit more.
Yes.
Not
Yes.
stacking behind the tank.
Yes, don't pursue weaving when there are other options available. Weaving is, I won't say a last resort by any means, but it is when there isn't another angle that the map gives you. So you take the weave and you do a great job of it. But if there is an angle that you're allowed to play, then pursue that. And then use your cooldowns to complement the position that you have chosen. You weave, you cooldown tank. If you don't weave, then you cooldown yourself or somebody else. Does that make sense? Right. The cooldowns don't dictate the positioning dictates the cooldowns. Now you could argue that you say, because I have cooldowns, that's why I take this angle, right? Of course, but you kind of, once you take the position, that kind of decides what you're going to do from there. I like the proactivity in terms of the decisiveness with how you're using your windows. The target priority was pretty good this game. That was definitely a problem once you got kind of in the weaving mindset, but once you started to think outside the box with your angles, honestly, no real problems. You were always shooting the right target, it felt like, almost always. So that's good. That means that once you kind of break the fourth wall here, you're all of a sudden you're going to have no problems with figuring things out in terms of what you should be shooting. Do you have any questions?
No, I think we covered it all.
Okay. There's going to be a lot of experimentation, a lot of failure with this. Obviously, it went really well here, but it's not always going to go so well. You just need to experiment. Yeah. I'm not asking you to feed. I'm not even asking you to be more aggressive. I'm asking you to control more space, to control better sightlines, which are safer. Because that game, you would have died to Ramantra and you would have died to Widowmaker significantly more often if you had been focused on weaving behind your tank.
Yeah.
So it was not necessarily a pursuit of damage or kills or pressure or carrying ranked. It was just a smarter position to control more space, safer with the character that you're playing.